Kids were bugging me to make this one. Everybody likes McNuggets, right? Why not make a version where we know all the ingredients that are inside? So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to make some chicken nuggets. Pound of chicken breast, which is what I'm choosing to use. We're just going to give this a rough cut. We're just basically going to keep it very simple. We're going to go just the chicken, 2 teaspoons of salt, and a half a teaspoon of white pepper. Fried it with paprika on the first. We were just in the Staples store, and they have the bins. What are they called? If you wonder where I've been, I should still find a love within. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Most friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the days of your life. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. A school bus driver in Florida is out of a job and under arrest for child neglect after she failed to stop at a railroad crossing and a freight train clipped her bus. Inside the bus, kids screamed and cried as the train passed very closely by. The driver, who had all good evaluations before this, allegedly muttered, quote, "Not gonna stop for no train." A school bus driver in Florida is out of a job and under... Dr. Greer, good to have you back. Last week, I had one of those members of Congress on this show, Tim Burchett, and he said this. Take a look.
If they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up. You'd be up at night. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, and it would have set the earth on it. This country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers. They knew we need to. The people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal.
Okay, so he said the things that I've seen would keep you up at night. You texted me right after the show that night, Dr. Greer. Do you know what he's talking about, like, specifically?
Yeah, I do. So for a number of decades, we have used the retrieved non-human bodies, biologicals are called, and created creatures that are part human, part not human, and very advanced biomedical research. And I've known about this since the 90s, and these have been used in covert operations, like the CIA document we have that admits they were using this sort of tech as well as the man-made UFOs to stage and host alien abductions and all manner of nonsense. The problem is, it sounds like a science fiction movie, but it's been part of a larger multi-decade psychological warfare operation, partly run out of a division of the CIA and some out of other special operations and attached to the aerospace industry giants. But yes, we know details of that. We know where these weird experiments are going on, and I've handed that off to certain people in the national security structure and to certain members of Congress, as well as the names of whistleblowers who have been involved.
Okay, let me hold on. So there's a breeding program. Matt Gaetz said that. Tim Burchett didn't deny that. You're confirming that. Are there female volunteers that are taking part in this program? Like, how does that work?
No, there are no. The human subjects are ones who have been captured in distressed areas and used for human experimentation. It's similar to what one of our whistleblowers admitted to, last year.
Okay.
He said that
Dr. Why would we do this? Like, who would want to do that?
they would do it to try to create diversions and make people think that there's a threat from outer space when there isn't one, and also to confuse and cover up illegally run covert programs and say the aliens are doing it. It's a classic diversion and deception operation.
Let me ask you about that. General Mike Flynn, and I don't mean to cut you off, we have to do this on time, so for everyone at home, that's why. General Mike Flynn retweeted the interview with Tim Burchett. Here's the quote. I think we have the tweet. "I believe Tim Burchett, he is not a man to mince words or to short sell the normal political BS, but be aware of a false flag alien operation by rogue elements inside the U.S. government." Dr. Greer, can you explain what he's talking about?
Yes, and this is exactly what Wernher von Braun, who invented the rocket cradle Hitler, warned us on his deathbed. And he said, that there would be an attempt to hoax a threat from outer space and kind of throw the world into sort of a totalitarian, a global dystopia. And that's been a plan that's been around since the mid 1950s. So General Flynn is 100% correct. And these sort of weird and scary things that you hear about associated with UFOs and UAPs is part of that psychological warfare operation.
Okay. I just want to ask you about Artemis 2, circled the moon, and NASA keeps shutting off the feed. They've got a live feed. You can essentially look anytime you want. And anytime there's something outside the window that doesn't look right out there in space, they just shut off the feed. Why are they doing that? Who's monitoring this that we're not supposed to see?
Well, it goes through a national security agency filtering system. And my uncle, as you know, helped design the lunar module, landed on the moon in 1969. And that was done then through a relay station in Australia and some other locations. So that is routine, just to be able to be sure nothing is said or seen without first being captured and reviewed.
So it's safe to say Artemis 2 is being watched. Is that safe to say? Yeah.
Yes,
the other thing, we don't have any time, but they didn't release any photos from the dark side of the moon that were not like iPhone 17 edited. Like there were no raw photos and you couldn't see the feed. They said they lost connection, so you couldn't see the feed the whole time this thing was going behind the moon, which is very suspicious. 15 seconds. Any thought on that?
Yes, one of our whistleblowers, Carl Wolf, saw the images in '68 coming back from that area, and there were artificial structures that were there that were removed from what NASA saw. So we know there are objects there.
That would explain that. Dr. Greer, we're going to get an answer. We're going to get there, my friend. Good to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Greer, good to have you back. Last week, I had one of those members of Congress on this show, Tim Burchett, and he said this. Take a look.
If they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up. You'd be up at night. I briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, and it would have set the earth on it. This country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers. And they knew we need to. The people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal.
Okay, so he said the things that I've seen would keep you up at night. You texted me right after the show that night, Dr. Greer. Do you know what he's talking about, like, specifically?
Yeah, I do. So for a number of decades, we have used the retrieved non-human bodies, biologicals so called.
Engine boost on. Here we go. Engine boost off. Speed has left the chat. Wait, we're winning? Battle's almost over. 5 minutes to mess it up. Or not. Engine boost on. Here we go.
Bye-bye!
Engine boost off. Speed has left the chat. We're winning. Please don't throw.
Oh.
I have a cat on my lap. Great. There goes the turret. Again. Let's send them back to port.